Quebec Remote Work Tax Guide 2025, What You Need to Know. Welcome back to the channel. If you are working remotely in Quebec in 2025, this video is for you. Whether you are a full-time remote employee, a freelancer, or a hybrid worker, understanding how remote work affects your tax obligations can help you save money and avoid mistakes. Today, we will go over the key things you need to know about Quebec's remote work tax rules, including who needs to file taxes, available deductions, tax considerations for freelancers, and important tax deadlines. Stay tuned until the end for essential tax tips to help you avoid missing out on deductions. 1. Who needs to file taxes for remote work in Quebec? Quebec follows a residency-based tax system. This means if you live in Quebec on December 31, 2025, you must file a federal tax return, T1, with the Canada Revenue Agency, CRA. A Quebec provincial tax return with Revenue Quebec. If you worked remotely for an employer based in another province but lived in Quebec, you are still considered a Quebec resident for tax purposes. Your employer should withhold Quebec tax from your income. Non-Quebec residents working for a Quebec employer. If you live in another province but work for a Quebec-based company, you file taxes in your home province. However, if Quebec tax was withheld, you may be able to claim a provincial tax credit on your tax return. 2. Remote work tax deductions in 2025. Remote workers in Quebec may qualify for home office deductions, which can reduce taxable income. The tax deduction for remote work is now only available under the detailed method. Detailed, actual expenses, method. If you work from home regularly, you may be able to claim a portion of eligible home expenses based on the workspace area. Eligible expenses include rent, for renters only, electricity, heating, and internet, office supplies such as paper, pens, and ink, repairs and maintenance of the workspace. If you are a homeowner, mortgage payments and property taxes are not deductible, but utilities and maintenance costs are. Employer certification requirement. To use the detailed method, your employer must issue Form T-2200 for federal tax deductions. Form TP 64.3V for Quebec tax deductions. It is important to ask your employer for these forms in advance to ensure you have the required documentation for your tax return. 3. Tax rules for freelancers and self-employed workers. If you are self-employed or run a home-based business, you can deduct a wider range of expenses, including home office expenses based on business use percentage, internet and phone bills if primarily used for business, software and subscriptions such as Adobe and Microsoft 365, equipment and furniture including computers, desks, and chairs, professional development and business travel expenses. Unlike employees, self-employed individuals can also claim depreciation on work equipment as a capital cost allowance. Keeping detailed records of business expenses is essential to maximize deductions. 4. Tax considerations for cross-border remote work. If you live in Quebec but work remotely for a U.S. or international employer, there are a few important tax considerations. Income tax treaties. You may need to file taxes in both Canada and the U.S. Foreign tax credits. To avoid double taxation, Quebec allows tax credits for foreign taxes paid. CPP and QPP contributions. If your employer is outside Canada, you may need to make voluntary contributions to your retirement plan. If you work across borders, consulting a tax professional can help you navigate international tax obligations. 5. Important deadlines and tax filing tips for 2025. Key tax deadlines. April 30, 2025, deadline for most individual tax returns. June 15, 2025, deadline for self-employed individuals, but any balance owed must be paid by April 30. Tips for a smooth tax season. Track your workdays and expenses early to avoid last-minute filing issues. Ask your employer for Form T-2200 and TP 64.3V if using the detailed deduction method. If you have cross-border income, consult a tax expert to ensure compliance. Use CRA and Revenue Quebec certified tax software to avoid errors and speed up processing. Final thoughts. Remote work continues to evolve, and so do tax rules. Knowing how to maximize your deductions and comply with Quebec and federal tax laws can help you reduce your tax burden and increase your tax refund. Start preparing now to make tax season stress-free. For official guidance, visit Canada Revenue Agency, CRA. Revenue Quebec. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Comment below if you have any questions about remote work taxes. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.